In the days preceding the crucifixion, murmurs of a man called Jesus, hailed as the Messiah and King by the Jews, began to stir among the ranks. I, merely a Roman soldier, found these tales curious, yet distant from the ironclad reality of Roman law. We heard of his teachings and miracles, but to us, he was just another man that would soon be forgotten, a minor disturbance in the vast expanse of the empire.
The night of his arrest was shrouded in secrecy and haste. Orders came down from Pilate himself, fueled by the urgent petitions of Jewish leaders. The charges against Jesus were grave, blasphemy and sedition, threatening the delicate balance of power. My fellow soldiers and I observed proceedings from a distance as our comrades returned from Gethsemane with Jesus in chains. The mockery began almost immediately. A cruel tradition to deem those deemed enemies of the state. As orders were given, some of our numbers took to the task with the unsettling zeal of lashing Jesus with whips. The very air thick with brutality and disdain. The day of crucifixion dawned, a day like any other. So it seemed. We prepared to execute capital punishment upon Jesus and two thieves, a routine task for us, the enforcers of Rome's iron rule. Yet, as hours passed, an eerie sense of unease began to take hold. The sky darkened unnaturally at midday, as if the sun itself recoiled at the sight of the crucifixion. The earth trembled beneath our feet, an unsettled reminder of powers beyond our comprehension. These ominous signs, these acts of nature, they whispered of a reality far removed from the cold logic of Roman discipline. In the dim light of dawn, we gathered a cohort of Roman soldiers tasked with the grim duty. The air was thick with anticipation and the solemn weight of authority as we prepared to execute three men. Among them, Jesus of Nazareth. This day was to be etched in history, though we knew not at the time, a day of profound sorrow and divine revelation. The procession to Golgotha was a spectacle of misery and scorn. Jesus, already weakened from the brutal scourging, bore the heavy cross upon his back, stumbling towards his place of execution. The crowds that once hailed him as king now mocked him. Their cheers turned into taunting. Yet amidst the clamor, there was a palpable tension, an undercut of fear and wonder at the man who walked silently to his death. Upon reaching the site, the true horror of the crucifix awaited. We laid Jesus down upon the rough wood, his back opened by the whip. With cold efficiency, we stretched his arms along the crossbeams. The hammer fell, nails piercing flesh and wood, a gruesome act of finality. His feet were next. Second secured a single nail, the brutality of the act underscored by the stark contrast of his calm amidst our violence. The pain inflicted was unimaginable, a torture designed not just to kill, but humiliate and deter. As the cross was raised, the inscription declaring his sentence nailed above his head, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. This title, meant to mock, spoke a deeper truth that we were yet to understand. Alongside him, two thieves writhed in their agony, a stark reminder of the fate that befell Roman enemies. The hours stretched on under a sky that grew increasingly dark, as if itself recoiled at the sight. Jesus' suffering was palpable, each breath struggling against his own weight of his body and the suffocating grip of death. Yet, it was his words more than his silence that pierced the veil of indifference. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. He gasped. A prayer of intercession for those who wrought his sufferings, including me. The world changed in these hours. The earth shook violently, rocks split, and the darkness that enveloped the land seemed to herald at the end of an age. In this moment of a cosmic disorder, as Jesus uttered his last and final words, "It is finished." And the veil of the temple was torn in two, that the truth dawned upon us in its terrifying majesty. This man, whom we had nailed to the cross, was no ordinary man, no ordinary criminal. He was a sacrifice of unfathomable depth, a confrontation with sin and death itself. The signs and wonders that accompanied his death, the eerie peace that settled upon the land thereafter, spoke of a power beyond our understanding, a divine authority that transcends the might of Rome. Amidst the grim scenery of Golgotha, as the crucifixion unfolded under seemingly hostile skies, a seemingly mundane act of callous indifference took place at the foot of the cross. We, the Roman soldiers tasked with executing the most brutal form of capital punishment, found ourselves momentarily distracted by the spoils of the grim duty. Among Jesus' possession was a garment unlike any we had seen, a seamless robe woven from top to bottom without a single stitch. Even stained with blood, it was unmistakably valuable, a piece that spoke of careful craftsmanship and significant worth. In a display of thoughtless insensitivity, we cast lots for it, our dice rolling in the dust, a gambit to claim the final piece of the condemned man above us. This act, so trivial in the moment, was loaded with profound symbolism. A microcosm of the world's blindness to the true value of a man we were crucifying. As we focused on the temporal value of his clothing, we were utterly oblivious to the divine worth of that life ebbing away before us. This seamless garment, though indeed a valuable piece, paled in comparison to the priceless sacrifice taking place. Jesus' life, freely given for the redemption of humanity, was the true treasure, unfolding before our eyes. His teachings, his miracles, his untimely death and resurrection were offerings of an infinite worth, far surpassing the transient material wealth over which we gambled. In the shadow of the cross, our actions revealed a deeper truth about human nature, our propensity to value the material over the spiritual, the immediate over the eternal. Yet, this incident also serves as a poignant reminder of God's grace. Despite our short-sightedness, our failings, our sins, Jesus' sacrifice was made willingly. A gift of unmeasurable worth for all, including those who gambled at his feet. Ignorant of the magnitude of the moment, the gambling for Jesus' garment is thus a stark illustration of our often misplaced priorities and values. While we sought to win a piece of fabric, we were unwittingly witnessing the greatest gift ever given, the life of Jesus Christ for the salvation of the world. This realization, born of the reflection of the events of that day, unveils the true nature and value and sacrifice, inviting a transformation in how we perceive worth and where we seek treasure. As we carried out our duties at Golgotha, overseeing the grim spectacle of crucifixion, the air was filled with an unusual cacophony of sounds. The weeping murmurs, the jockeying jeers of onlookers, and the agonizing cries of the condemned. Yet amidst this chaos, a remarkable exchange unfolded between these three men. Crucified that day, an exchange that I, a Roman soldier, overheard a dialogue that would forever alter my understanding of mercy and justice. To one side of Jesus, a criminal, in his own agony, found the breath to hurl insults and mockery at the man in the center cross. "Aren't you the Christ? Save yourself," and us, he spat, his words dripping with scorn and desperation. It was a demand for a miracle, a testament to the disbelief and despair that can grip the heart of a man facing his end without hope or understanding. However, it was the response from the other criminal that caught my attention and has lingered in my mind ever since. This man, equally condemned, suffering, rebuked the first, acknowledging the justice of their punishment, but asserting the innocence of Jesus. "Do you not fear God?" he chastened. "Since you are under the same sentence of the condemnation, and we indeed justly, for we are serving and receiving due reward for our deeds. But this man has done nothing wrong." Then turning to Jesus with humility and faith that was as profound as it was unexpected, he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Truly I say to you, today will be with me in paradise." Jesus' response to the second criminal was a declaration of grace and promise that transcends human understanding. In that moment, amidst the brutality of Roman justice and the despair of the crucifixion, a promise of redemption and eternal companionship was extended to a man, acknowledged by society as a criminal, yet seen by Jesus as a soul worth saving. This exchange, seemingly insignificant against the backdrop of the day's events, was in fact a profound revelation. The first criminal sought salvation from physical death without the understanding the nature of the one beside him. The second, in contrast, recognized both his own guilt, the innocence, and the authority of Jesus. His request was not for rescue from temporal death, but for a place in eternal life, promised by Jesus' kingdom. To me, a Roman soldier, this was a moment of clarity, a day shrouded in darkness, both literal and metaphorical. The contrast between the two criminals of the interaction with Jesus illuminated the true nature of his mission. It was not to save us from earthly consequences of our own actions, but to offer us redemption and a place in his eternal kingdom, even in our final moments. This assurance of mercy extended to a condemned man beside me echoed with the profound promise of forgiveness for all who seek it, inviting a reevaluation of my own understanding of justice, mercy, and redemption. As Jesus hung there amidst the scorn and the agony, a profound realization dawned upon me. His final words, a plea of divine forgiveness, not just for his executioners, but for all mankind, pierced the armor around my heart. The earth itself seemed to mourn his passing. The veil of the temple was torn and the darkness enveloped the land. This was no ordinary man. This was an encounter with the divine, a pivotal juncture in the history of the world. In the days that followed, reports of an empty tomb, sightings had risen among his disciples, confounded our sense of reality. The man we had crucified was alive. His resurrection, a testament to the truth of his words and the divine mission that he had fulfilled. Reflecting upon the days of that event, the agony inflicted and endured, the divine grace manifest in Jesus' forgiveness, I am confronted with the truth that transcends the bounds of my duty as a Roman soldier. Jesus, the crucified King, offers salvation not just to the lost sheep of Israel, but to all humanity, extending it even to those who drove nails into his hands and in his feet. In this revelation, my hope lies, a profound transformation wrought with agony, and the cross, the glory of the resurrection. The aftermath, no less extraordinary. Tales circulated among the soldiers, whispers of an empty tomb. Angels declaring Jesus has risen. The very fabric seemed altered. The man we had just crucified in the most humiliating manner had triumphed over death itself. In the reflective silence that followed, a single truth emerged from the chaos of those days. The realization that Jesus was indeed the Son of God, the Messiah, not just for the Jews, but for all humanities, for Romans, for soldiers, for me, for you. His forgiveness extended to those who had nailed him to the cross, encompassed the world in its boundless grace. And in that moment of divine revelation, I understood that Jesus came to offer salvation to all. A salvation that included even a Roman soldier complicit in his death. The true, born in the darkness of Golgotha, has illuminated my path. And ever since, a beacon of hope in a world fraught with shadows.
Can we lift our hands in this room? If you thank God for His saving power, just extend your hands in here and then open up your mouth and just worship Jesus. Great is your mercy toward me, your loving kindness toward me, your tender mercies I see day after day. Forever faithful towards me, always providing for me. Great is your mercy toward me. Great is your grace. Everybody, great. Great